The text came through while I was still standing in the conference room, half a glass of cheap Prosecco going warm in my hand. I made partner. 11 years of busy seasons, of eating dinner out of a vending machine in April, of recalculating someone else's mess at 2 in the morning, and it was finally mine. My name was... I stepped into the hallway, hands shaking, and typed it out to my husband. I made partner. It's official. They announced it. I watched the little dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. His reply came 30 seconds later, a thumbs up emoji. That's it. Just the small yellow thumb, floating there at the bottom of the screen like a door closing into my face. I told myself he was at work. I told myself he'd say something real when I got home. I drove back to our place in Park Hill with the radio off, rehearsing the way I'd describe it to him. The bump in bass, the profit share, the corner office that came with my name on it now. The managing partner had pulled me aside and said the words succession plan in the same breath as my name, and I'd nearly cried in front of the whole firm. I wanted to tell my husband all of it. I wanted him to grab me like to the way he used to back when we were broke and renting a one-bedroom, when any good news felt like winning the lottery together. I came in through the side door and the house smelled like nothing. No dinner, no candle, nothing. Just the blue flicker of the TV and the sound of a sports commentator going on about a third down conversion. He was on the couch with a beer balanced on the armrest and his laptop open scrolling through a fantasy lineup. He didn't look up. "Hey," I said. I set my bag down. "Did you read my text?" "Yeah, congrats." He clicked something. "You eat?" I ordered wings like an hour ago. I stood there in my coat. "I made partner. At the firm. I'm a partner now. I heard you." "That's great." He finally glanced over, and there was nothing in his face. Mild interest, the kind you'd give a coworker. "More money's good. We could use it, honestly, with everything coming up. Everything coming up." I should have caught it then, but I was still floating, still wanting it to be a good night, so I sat down next to him and tried to make him feel it. "It's not just the money. It's the whole thing. They basically told me I'm in line to run the Denver office in a few years. Do you understand what that means? After everything I get it. It's good." He set the laptop aside and turned to face me, and I watched his expression shift into something I knew, the careful bad news face. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Listen, I need to talk to you about something, and the timing's not great, but it kind of can't wait." For one stupid second, my heart lifted. He has a surprise. He planned something. "Okay," I said. "What is it?" My mom called. "The flooring distributor she does the office stuff for? They're closing the Aurora location. She's getting let go end of the month." His mother, the woman who, at our wedding, told the photographer she only wanted pictures of her side because mine were a little much. The woman who'd never once called me by my name, only ever she or your wife when she talked to her son, like I wasn't in the room. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. And I half meant it. Losing a job at her age is hard. And it's not just her. My sister got evicted. Her landlord's converting the building to condos. She's out by the first, and you know she can't swing first and last on what she makes. His sister, 26, a self-described content creator who had 1,100 followers and a habit of texting me at midnight asking if she could borrow $200 she would never pay back. So I told them they could stay here, with us. For a while. The room went very still. "You told them?" "Without asking me. They're family." He said it like it ended the conversation. "Come on, we've got the spare room and the basement. My mom can take the guest room. My sister can do the basement, and honestly, see, it'd be good to have my mom around. She can cook, keep the house up while you're doing your big partner thing." "Keep the house up?" I heard my own voice go flat. "You want your mother to move into our home and be the housekeeper. Don't make it weird, she likes that stuff. And you're never here anyway, so what do you care?" He picked the beer back up. "It's temporary. A few months. They're family, and family helps family. That's just how it is." "I want to tell you," I screamed. I didn't. Something in me went cold and clear instead, the way it does when a client hands me a shoebox of receipts the day before a deadline, and panic would only waste time I don't have. I just looked at him, this man I'd married 7 years ago, and I realized he genuinely could not see me. He could see a salary, he could see a maid, He could not see the person who'd carried us through his 2 layoffs, who'd covered the mortgage when his commissions dried up, who'd quietly paid off his truck so it wouldn't get repossessed and never once threw it back in his face. "When are they coming?" I asked. "Friday. I'm gonna go get them Saturday, actually drive the U-Haul down to the Springs and bring my mom's stuff up." He was already relaxing, thinking it was settled. "I figured you'd be cool once you thought about it. You're always saying we should help people." "Saturday," I repeated. "Saturday. I'll be gone most of the day, probably." He turned back to the TV. "Hey, can you grab the wings when they come? I gave them a $5 tip already on the app." I went upstairs and ran a bath I didn't get into. I sat on the edge of the tub and did the math, because that's what I do. The house was mine, not ours. Mine. I'd bought it the year before we got married, with the down payment I'd saved from my first 6 years at the firm, and I'd never added him to the deed because back then we'd both agreed it made sense to keep it simple while we figured out the rest. He paid me a flat amount toward the mortgage every month that was less than what he used to spend on his fantasy leagues and his bar tabs combined. My name was on the loan. My name was on the title. Every renovation, the new roof, the furnace we replaced in January, all of it had come out of my account. I thought about my mother, who'd raised me on her own after my dad left, who'd worked 2 jobs and still found a way to put $20 in a birthday card every year. She told me, once, "Baby, never let a man make you feel like your achievements are a problem to be managed. That's not love. That's bookkeeping where you're always the cost." I'd never understood it until I sat on the edge of that tub listening to my husband cheer at a touchdown downstairs. I didn't sleep much. By morning I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I knew I was going to do it the way I do everything. Quietly. In order. With documentation. The next day I called in a favor. My best friend from college had gone to law school while I went into accounting, and she'd built a family law practice that kept her busier than she liked. I'd referred half a dozen clients to her over the years. I called her at 9 in the morning and said, "I need an hour, and I need it to be confidential, and I need it today." She heard something in my voice and moved her lunch. We sat in her office and I laid it out flat the way I'd lay out a P&L. The house in my name, the accounts, the 7 years, the mother and sister arriving Saturday. She took notes and asked precise questions, and at the end she set down her pen and said, "Okay, legally, this is cleaner than most. The house is your separate property, acquired before marriage, never retitled, and you can document that he never contributed to equity. His payments read as rent, not investment, especially if you've got the records." I did. I have records of everything. Colorado's an equitable distribution state, not community property, so the house stays yours. The marital stuff, the joint checking, the cars, we sort out, but you're in a strong position. She paused. "What do you want?" "Walk me to the outcome." "I want him out of my house," I said. "I want it done legally so nobody can ever say I did anything wrong, and I don't want to talk to him about money ever again." She nodded slowly. "Then here's what we do this week." That afternoon, I went to the bank on my lunch break. I opened a new individual checking and savings in my name only, at a different bank entirely, and I moved my direct deposit to it. I left enough in the joint account to cover his half of the auto-pay bills for one more cycle because I wasn't going to be the kind of person who left him without gas money. But I moved my emergency fund, the one I'd built dollar by dollar, into accounts he couldn't touch. I called the credit card companies and removed him as an authorized user on the 2 cards that were in my name. Administrator and confirmed my beneficiary paperwork. I am very good at my job. It took me about 2 hours to make myself financially invisible to a man I'd been married to for 7 years. And the worst part was how easy it was, how little he'd ever paid attention. I had a locksmith come Thursday afternoon while he was at work. New deadbolts, new front and side and back, a new code on the garage. Legally, I could do it. My house, my name, and my friend had told me to document the date and keep the receipt, so I did. I put his actual belongings, the things that were truly his, neatly into boxes. His clothes, his gaming setup, his fishing gear, the recliner his dad had given him. I didn't trash anything. I didn't smash anything. I packed it like I was helping him move, with labels and I stacked it in the garage. Then I called my friend and she sent over a process server, and I had my husband served with divorces at his work on Friday afternoon, the day before he was supposed to drive down to pick up his mother. He called me 11 times. I didn't answer any of them. My lawyer had been clear. From now on, all communications through her. I texted him exactly one message, the wording she gave me. Going forward, please direct all communication to my attorney. Her contact information is below. Your personal belongings are packed and available for pickup. We'll coordinate a time through her. Please don't come to the house. He came to the house. He came Saturday morning, the day he was supposed to be in Colorado Springs, and he came with his mother and his sister, because of course he did. They'd already piled into his truck before he got served. Or maybe he didn't believe me. Or maybe he thought he could fix it by showing up with reinforcements. I was at my mother's across town. My friend had told me not to be there, and I'm glad I listened. But my neighbor texted me a photo, the three of them standing on my porch. His key not working in the new deadbolt. His mother with her arms crossed. His sister filming it on her phone, probably for content. He banged on the door. He shouted my name loud enough that the neighbor across the street came out. He tried the side door, the garage, walked the whole perimeter of my house like he was looking for a way in, and there wasn't one, because it was my house and I'd locked it. Eventually, he found the boxes I'd left labeled in the side yard under a tarp, with a note taped to the top. These are yours. Everything else is mine. Please go. My neighbor said his mother started crying. The big theatrical kind, and his sister kept the camera rolling, and my husband stood in my driveway with his hands on his head, finally understanding that the woman whose career he couldn't be bothered to acknowledge had spent 4 days quietly closing every door he'd ever leaned on. He called my lawyer that afternoon, furious, and she told me later it was almost sad. He kept saying it was his house too. It wasn't. He kept saying I couldn't just lock him out. I could. He kept saying his mother and sister had nowhere to go. And my lawyer, who has been doing this for 15 years, said very calmly, that was never my client's responsibility, and it's certainly not now. The next few weeks were a strange kind of quiet I hadn't felt in years. I came home to my own house. I cooked dinner in my own kitchen, with nobody criticizing how I did it. I slept in the middle of the bed. I went to work and put my name on the partnership documents, and shook hands with people who looked me in the eye when they congratulated me. My husband texted my lawyer increasingly unhinged messages, demanding the joint account, demanding his half of a house he had no claim to, threatening to get his own lawyer, and then, when he finally did, immediately regretting it when that lawyer told him the same thing mine had. He moved his mother and sister into a 2-bedroom apartment in Aurora that he could barely afford, because that's what was actually his to figure out. I heard about it secondhand, the way you hear about your ex's life after a divorce in fragments that drift back to you through mutual friends. His sister, it turned out, had been getting deeper into something for a while. The content creator thing had pivoted into a business opportunity, which is what people call it when they've been recruited into a pyramid scheme. She'd been selling overpriced supplements and recruiting other people to sell them, and she'd put thousands she didn't have onto credit cards to buy inventory that was sitting in boxes in that Aurora apartment. When the scheme started collapsing, the way they all do, she went looking for a faster way out, and she found one in a guy who ran a credit repair service. That was really just a fraud operation. She let him use her information, her accounts, her name, in exchange for a cut. And when the whole thing got flagged by the state attorney general's office, her name was on the paperwork. My husband, who had thrown me away to take care of his family, spent the equity he didn't get from my house on a criminal defense attorney for his little sister. His mother never found a comparable job. She'd been doing back-office work for a company that no longer existed, in an industry that was shrinking, and at 58, the offers weren't coming. She lived off her small pension and what my husband could give her, and from what I heard, the two of them fought constantly in that cramped apartment. The mother, who'd promised her son the world if he just married right, and the son who'd believed her. The sister came and went. in and out of legal trouble, draining whatever he had left. I didn't celebrate it. I want to be honest about that, because I think it would be easy to make this a story about how good revenge feels. And that's not what it was. When I heard about the sister, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt the same thing I feel when a client ignores my advice for 2 years and then shows up with a tax bill they could have avoided, a kind of tired recognition. Of course, this is what was always going to happen. These were people who believed that other people existed to absorb the cost of their choices. For 7 years, I'd been the one absorbing it. The only thing that had changed was that I stopped. The divorce finalized faster than most. With the house off the table and the finances as clean as I'd made them, there wasn't much to fight over. He got his half of the joint account, which was about $4,000. He got his truck, his belongings, his recliner. I got my house, my career, my name, and the deep, strange relief of waking up and realizing the lowest grade anxiety I'd carried for years, the one I'd stopped even noticing, was simply gone. About 6 months after it was final, the firm asked me to come out to a leadership conference in Scottsdale and sit on a panel about women in the profession. I almost said no. I'm a numbers person, not a stage person. But my mentor at the firm, the managing partner who'd put my name in the succession plan, told me, people need to see it. They need to see a woman who made partner and didn't disappear into it. Go. So I went. It's where I met him, though I didn't think anything of it at first. He was a tax attorney from the Denver office of a firm we worked with, on the same panel, and he had this dry, easy way of talking that made the room relax. Afterward, at the reception, he came up to me and instead of the usual networking small talk, he said, "That thing you said up there, about how the hardest accounts to balance are the ones where you keep counting your own worth as a liability. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while." I didn't have a clever answer. We ended up talking until the staff started stacking chairs. His name? I'll just say he had a name, a normal one, and he used it when he introduced himself, and he asked for mine and remembered it. That alone undid something in me. We took it slow. He was divorced too, no drama, just a marriage that had quietly run out of road, and he had this respect for boundaries that I'd never experienced from a man. When I told him months in that the house was mine and would stay mine, he just nodded and said, "Of course it is. You built it." When I told him I never wanted to feel like my work was something I had to apologize for, he said, "Then don't, and I'll fight anyone who makes you." He was joking, mostly, but he meant the spirit of it. He didn't move in for a long time, and when he finally did, we had it all written down, plainly, the way two people who've each been burned once do it. Who pays what? What's separate, what's shared, and far from killing the romance, it made me feel safer than I'd ever felt. There's nothing colder than a man who won't talk about money. There's nothing warmer, it turns out, than one who'll sit at the kitchen table with you and a spreadsheet and treat your piece like a line item that doesn't get cut. A year and a half after the divorce, I got asked to give a real talk, not a panel. A keynote at a regional conference for women going into finance and accounting. A few hundred of them, mostly young, mostly at the beginning of careers I remembered being terrified inside of. I stood at the podium without notes, which I never do, and I told them the truth. I told them that the most important set of books they'd ever keep was the one where they tracked their own value, and that no one, not a boss, not a client, not a husband, got to write themselves a credit against it without their permission. I told them that walking away from something isn't always a loud, dramatic thing. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just a series of small, deliberate decisions. The door you change the lock on, the account you open in your own name, the call you make to a friend who knows the law, the morning you wake up and decide you are done being the place other people put their costs. The applause went on longer than I expected, and I stood there and let it, which the old me never would have. During the questions, a young woman near the front raised her hand. She couldn't have been more than 24. Her voice shook a little when she got the microphone. "I just wanted to say," she started, and then had to stop and breathe. "I'm in a situation right now where everyone keeps telling me I'm being selfish for wanting to keep what I earn for myself. My boyfriend, his family, and listening to you, I think I needed to hear that it's not selfish, that I'm allowed to protect my own." She searched for the word, my own work, my own self. She wiped her eyes. "So thank you. I think I'm going to make some calls when I get home." The room went soft and quiet, the way a room does when it recognizes itself. I felt my throat tighten, standing up there, looking at her, and I thought about the woman I'd been sitting on the edge of that bathtub doing math in my head, certain she was alone. "You're not being selfish," I told her, and I had to steady my own voice. "And you're not alone. Make the calls. Be kind to yourself about it taking time. You're allowed to be the one who gets to keep what she built." She nodded, crying openly now, and a couple of women around her reached over and put their hands on her shoulders. And I had to look down at the podium for a second to collect myself. Afterward, there was a line of people, and somewhere in the middle of it, I felt a hand on my elbow and turned, and it was him. He'd driven down to surprise me, sat in the back the whole time. "You were unbelievable," he said in my ear. I took notes. I'm holding up my end of the agreement. It was our joke, the agreement, the boring, beautiful document on our kitchen counter. I leaned into him and laughed, and for a second I wasn't a partner or a keynote speaker or a woman who'd survived anything. I was just a person standing next to another person who was glad I'd won. I drove home to my house that weekend. My house with my name on the deed and the door I'd changed the lock on, with the kitchen where no one tells me I'm doing it wrong, and the man who flew down to watch me speak waiting for me with takeout from the Thai place and zero opinions about whether I deserved my own life. My phone buzzed on the counter with a calendar reminder for Monday. A partners meeting, my name on the agenda. I looked at it, and I thought about a thumbs-up emoji floating at the bottom of a screen a lifetime ago, and how small it had made me feel, and how it had turned out to be the most honest thing he ever told me. He didn't care. So I stopped waiting for him to. And I built the rest of my life out of everything I had left, which turned out to be enough. Which turned out to be more than enough. I put the phone face down, and I went to set the table for two.